¿Y esto cómo era? Era-
No,
Admit
Valentina
all.
está esperando entonces.
Solo eso.
Okay, hi, Mateo.
Hi,
How are you?
fine.
And Valen, how are you, Valen?
Fine.
Okay. Does anyone know anything about Aldana?
No.
No, because Vicky is not going to be with us today because she doesn't have any lights at home. And Sophie is not joining us either. Okay, well, so we were talking about the longest journey to school in the world. And we only read this, didn't we? Here it said, how would you like to spend 5 hours a day traveling to and from school? That's what a New York teenager did for the first year of his high school life. So, how long did it take to get to school?
5 hours.
Only to get. Pay attention to what it says here. So how long does it take? How long does it take him to travel to and from school? Spend 5 hours a day traveling to and from school. So that is what he spends every day traveling to go and to come back from school, 5 hours a day. So how long does it take to go to school? Can you hear me?
Yes. Maybe 2 hours and 30.
Exactly, yes, 2 hours and 30. Well, that's important because of another question that we will have to answer later. Okay. Mateo, can you start reading the first paragraph?
Yes. At the age of 14, Santiago Munoz, who lived in Queens, New York, was determined to go to the High School of Science in the Bronx in the north of New York City, 26 miles away. He wanted to go there because he had heard it was the best science school in the country. To be successful, you have to sacrifice, he said.
Okay. So he was starting secondary school or high school at the age of 14. And what about you? How old were you when you started?
Twelve.
12. Okay. And you, Mateo, 12 too?
¿Qué cosa?
How old were you when you started high school or secondary school?
12.
Okay. So at the age of 14, Santiago Munoz, who lived in Queens, New York, was determined to go. And is there anything wrong in this sentence? Isn't there any word missing here?
To go to the high school.
Yes, exactly. The to is missing here. I don't know what happened. There's a printing mistake. So he was determined to go to the High School of Science in the Bronx in the north of New York City, 26 miles away. I'm going to show you the map, which is somewhere here. So all this, as you can see here, is New York City, all that. And what do we know about Santiago? Where does he live? In what district?
Queens.
Yes, in Queens. Yes, you have it here. So, and he wants to travel to that school, which is situated in the Bronx, in the north of New York City. All right. And how far is it from his house?
26 miles away.
26 miles? Did he say 26?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many kilometers is that? Any idea how long a mile is in kilometers?
No.
No, well, 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. That is 16 blocks, 1.6 kilometers or 16 blocks. So can you calculate how many kilometers 26 miles would be?
41 kilometers, maybe?
Yes, nearly 42. Yes, good. Okay, so he travels nearly 42 kilometers to go to school. Okay. Okay. He wanted to go there because he had heard it was the best science school in the country. To be successful, you have to sacrifice. Right. And why did you choose to go to Estrada School, Valen, and Rivadavia School, Mateo?
I didn't choose that.
Ah.
I followed my school. I was in primary school in the same school, so like that. But if maybe I'm going to finish high school in my school in Estrada, because I don't really know what I like. I don't really have any other school that I consider to be better than this one. So
Okay, so you just continued in the same school. And what about you, Mateo?
Maybe the same, because I have been going to the Rivadavia since I was in kindergarten, and all my friends go to Rivadavia.
Okay, so you didn't even think of changing?
No.
Neither did you, Valen?
no.
Okay, well, And why did Santiago go to that one?
Because it was the best school.
Right, that is what he had heard, that it was the best. Okay. Right. Valen, can you read the second?
Yes. Santiago's journey to school was long and complicated. After getting up at 5 a.m., he set off from home to catch a bus 5 and 5:50. He then got on another bus before boarding the first of two trains at 6:50.
50.
Finally, he walked for 10 minutes before arriving at school just in time for his first class.
Okay. So here it says Santiago's journey to school. What does the word journey refer to? What does it mean, or what does it refer to?
Viaje.
Yes, but what is the difference between journey and trip? Because we can translate trip in the same way, but they don't mean the same in English.
Trip is more than like travel to another country.
Not necessarily. You can say a trip to Mar del Plata or a trip to Chacomús. If you suppose you have you ever been on holiday? Have you ever been away?
Yes.
Where did you go last?
To the beach.
To the beach. So suppose I meet you when you come back, when you're already in Berazategui, and I ask you, how was your trip? What are you going to answer? What are you going to talk about?
My trip.
What information would you give me, for instance?
About the beach, how it was, the people, my family, I don't know.
Exactly. When you talk about the trip, you mean everything connected with what you did there, or what you ate, or who you met, or what you saw, or how you felt, or about the accommodation, whether you were staying with your family or in a hotel or in a camping site. You can talk about the weather, about the things that you bought, or if you swam on the beach or in the sea. So all that is that you are talking about the trip. When we are talking about the journey, it's suppose you come back, you arrive back in Berazategui on a Friday at 6 o'clock p.m. And I see you at 8 and I say, how was your journey? What am I talking about? Or what are you going to answer?
About the way.
Yes, only about that. You can tell me, for instance, well, we left at 5 a.m., but there was a traffic jam. There was a lot of traffic. Then we stopped in Chacomús and we had something to eat there. And then we were stopped by the police. And so it took us, I don't know, 10 hours to get to Berazategui. So go from the moment that you start coming back until you get here, that is the journey, only that. So that's the difference between the journey and a trip. So Santiago's journey to school was long and complicated. The traveling, the going from his house to school was long and complicated. After getting up at 5 a.m., he set off from home to catch a bus at 5:50. Can you think of a synonym of catch?
take?
Yes, to take a bus or to catch. And what do you think it means? He set off at, well, I don't know. He set off. What did he do? He set off from home to catch a bus.
That he left?
He left home and he started what?
The travel?
He started to travel, or he started his journey. Okay. He then got on another bus before boarding the first of 2 trains at 6:50. Finally, he walked for 10 minutes before arriving at school, just in time for his first class. Well, here we have some words that are that connect different times that we can use to retell a story. Which words can be used?
After getting up.
Yes, after, what else?
Before.
Before, which other?
When?
When, yes, what else?
Finally.
Finally, and here we had then. Can you think of any other that we could use to retell a story?
Afterwards?
Afterwards, yes. Or after that, yes. Which other? There is one which is similar to then.
At that moment?
Well, that's different from then, but yes, it's okay at that moment. Any other? Then or next. Yes, next could be used like then. And to start the story, we could use first or at first. Okay. And what do we use, if you look at the text, what do we use after or before? Do we use past?
No.
Past simple?
Well, you can use past simple, but if we include what before the past simple?
The person?
The person, exactly. I can say before he boarded. So if I include the person, I use boarded. The same here. After he got up, that's possible. Okay. If you don't have the person, we use ing. Yes, the gerund form, ing. Okay, the same happens with after or before. Another thing, here it says he walked for 10 minutes before arriving at school, just in time for his first class. Do you know the difference between in time and on time?
No.
No.
Well, both are possible, but they mean something different. What time does your school start?
7.
7:30, you said?
Yes.
Okay. And what time do you usually arrive?
At 7.
At 7?
Yes.
Oh, well, then in your case, you arrive in time. In time. What about you, Mateo? What time does your school start?
I think it starts like 6:30, but you have time to enter at you can enter since 6:30, and before you can enter 6:30 or I think 7:15.
And at what time does the first class start?
At 7:30.
Okay. And what time do you usually arrive?
And it depends if I wake up early or
Well,
sometimes I go. Sorry.
Sometimes you go.
I go like 6:30 or sometimes I go 7:30.
Okay. Well, if you arrive at 7:30, you are arriving on time. On time. That is exactly at the time that you had to arrive. No minute before. Exactly at that time. The class starts at 7:30, so you arrive at 7:30. That is to arrive on time. Extremely punctually at the time that you had agreed. You can't arrive later than that. But to arrive in time is to arrive with enough time. Yes, you'll have to wait some minutes. Yes, as Valen, you arrive half an hour earlier so you can talk to your friends or do some homework, or well, you have to wait until the bell rings. That is to arrive in time. Okay. Well, Mateo, the next one. Santiago became
a minor celebrity after appearing in a photographic exhibition called Journeys to School. His journey was one of the longest in the world, but it wasn't the hardest or the most dangerous. A Brazilian boy traveled across a desert on a donkey to get to his school, and a tiger walked for 40 minutes before getting on a rickshaw.
Okay. Any idea what this is? The girl is from Thailand. This is a means of transport. It's not a bus, it's not a car. We don't use this in our countries. This is used in certain Asian countries. Maybe you have seen this in some movie. If you have one of these, your work is very hard work. It's a kind of bicycle, but it works as a taxi. So you, as the owner of the bicycle and the taxi, you cycle, but you have like a carriage, and so the passenger is sitting behind you, and you have to cycle and carry that person. Yes, that is a rickshaw. Have you seen this in any movie?
I think so.
Well,
No,
Oh.
I don't know.
Instead of using oil or petrol and starting a car, they start cycling and they carry the passenger behind. That passenger is sitting and, well, he has to cycle. Okay. Santiago became a minor celebrity after appearing in a photographic exhibition called Journeys to School. His journey was one of the longest in the world, but it wasn't the hardest or the most dangerous. A Brazilian boy traveled across a desert on a donkey to get to his school, and a Thai girl walked for 40 minutes before getting on a rickshaw. So first she walked and then she caught a rickshaw. All right, and the last one, Valentina.
After becoming famous, Santiago had a lucky break. A hurricane had affected the area where she lived, so the local housing authority offered his family a new apartment near the school. The best thing now is that I can stay in bed a bit longer and spend more time with my friends. Great results.
Okay, after becoming famous, and when was it that he became famous?
After appearing in a photography exhibition.
Right. As one of the students who traveled the longest journeys. Yes, and here it says Santiago had a lucky break. Instead of break, we could also say a lucky strike. Can you understand that expression? To have a lucky break or a lucky strike?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, like suddenly you became lucky or fortunate. A hurricane had affected the area where he lived. So the local housing authority offered his family a new apartment nearer the school. So the local housing authority. What would this be? Can you understand this? Or how could you explain?
No.
No? Well, the person or the people who are responsible for the houses within a district. Something like, here we would translate it as la autoridad sobre, que tiene responsabilidad de la vivienda in the area. So, look, there had been a hurricane and they offered him, his family, not him, a new apartment nearer the school. What happens here when there is some serious problem and people lose their houses? Any idea?
No.
No, Valen?
No, miss.
Well, I really doubt that they would ever offer a new apartment. They would probably promise to give a new apartment, but then they don't. I think that the most they do is to offer some money but sometimes what they have done is to pay for the rent in a hotel room, in a cheap hotel room for some months or for some time, for a year, let's say. But I don't think they have ever offered a new apartment for the case some families lose their homes. Well, can you think of another word for apartment? A shorter one. Starting with F. Do you live in a house?
In a flat.
Ah, well, you see, flat is the same.
I live in a house, but
Yes, okay.
flat.
Yes, that one. Flat or apartment. Okay, nearer the school. So the best thing now is that I can stay in bed a bit longer and spend more time with my friends. Great result. Okay. Let's go to number 3. Choose the correct option. Yes, so he traveled for 2.5 hours twice a day. One was when he went to school and the other one when he came back home. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, number 2, Valen?
He started his journey at 5:50 a.m.
Yes, his journey at 5:50 a. Remember, this is a.m. Okay. Do you remember the phrasal verb, which means started his journey? Have you found it? How can I paraphrase? He started his journey, but using a phrasal verb. In this paragraph. Any suggestion?
Set off.
Exactly. Yes. He set off or he started his journey at 5:50 a.m. Okay. Number 3, Mateo.
He traveled on 1 bus and 2 trains.
Do you agree, Valen?
No, 2 buses.
Let's see. He said to catch a bus at 5:50 and then he got on another bus before boarding the first of 2 trains. So, which would be the best?
2 buses, 2 trains.
Exactly. Number 4, Mateo.
Photograph which he took appear in an exhibition.
Do you agree, Valen?
No, of him.
Let's see. He became a minor celebrity after appearing in a photographic exhibition called Journeys to School. After appearing in a photographic exhibition. So, did he take the photographs or did he appear in one or more of the photographs? Do you think he took the photographs or somebody else took the photographs of him?
Of him.
Of him, right. So somebody else, some authority perhaps, or a photographer, well, took photographs of Santiago. Here, who took the photograph of you, Mateo? The photograph I can see here.
My sister.
Okay, so your sister took a photo of you. It was not a selfie, you didn't take it. So it was a photograph of you, and in the exhibition, people could see photographs of Santiago or of him. Okay, and 5, Valen?
His journey was not the hardest.
Exactly, it was not the hardest because here it said a Brazilian boy traveled across a desert on a donkey to get to his school, and the tiger walked for 40 minutes before getting on a rickshaw. So probably the hardest, well, I really don't know, this one or the one about the girl. Okay. What time did Santiago's first class start? We have to calculate. What time did Santiago's first class start? What we know is that he set off or started his journey at this time.
I think at 7.
But we also know how long the journey took. How long did you say that the journey took?
Mm. 2 hours and a half.
Exactly. So if he started his journey at this time, and the other thing that we know is that he arrived in time, that is with enough time for his first class. So, what time did his first class start? What do you think?